Good evening, everyone. How are you? Hopefully, I've got the camera dialed in reasonably well this week. It's so difficult getting used to the idea of doing these live streams in the dark, not when it's dark outside and I don't have light coming. But hopefully, we're okay. Anyway, cheers. As always, it's Friday once again. It rolls around quicker and quicker every week, doesn't it? Or it seems to. And we're all gathered here for a beer. I have no idea, beyond a couple of things I want to mention, what I'm going to be talking about this evening. So, excuse me, I just need to close that down. I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about this evening. That's usually the case, but we always seem to muddle on through, don't we? Let's get straight to it by going and having a look in the chat. He was first in. First in was Sometimes Dim, Never Thin. Then hot on his heels was Johnny Random and Edwin Toonan. And there's Dr. Gomez. Thank you, Dr. Gomez, for the that wonderful new Ex-Horseman pedal. Much appreciated. I'm absolutely loving it. And then scrolling down, we've got Grandpa Joe. And who else we got? There's Michael Palmer. Very much my way of looking at things, Michael. What's all this talk of football? Is there a match on somewhere? Indeed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it maybe about 4 years ago they had like a big football competition to decide which country was the best at it in the world, and for some reason we now need to go through it all again. I don't know why we bother. Well, I don't, to be honest with you, as you can probably gather. Then we've got Peter Collins and Mark Kernow. Lawrence Hastings is in, and so is Balder and Mike Hurley. And who else we got? Ian Clark and Anton. And Paul Trainer's in, and so is Jeff C. and Vincent Brennan. And moving down again, Wilson Jones is there, and Phil and DJ W. And who else we got? Terry Day and James Hunt and David Evans and PFY Guitars. There's John Ross in there sneaking in. Chris Otterwell, John Channing is there. Brad Matthews, the Rockabilly Trainwreck. What a great handle that is. And there's Wilson Jones. Have I said you already, mate? I think I have. Never mind. The Essex Cat is in, and so is Tom B and Brian Brazil. And I'm going to be mentioning you in a little while, Brian, so stay tuned. There's Deco Dude and Martin, is it Scholes or Scholes? I do apologise for whichever one of those was the wrong pronunciation. There's Michael Belliveau and Sean House. And Colin Falcon is in, and so is Reeled In 58. And Malcolm Spillett. Hope your missus is okay, Malcolm. And then we've got Jimmy James and Patrick Becker. The Time Prophet and Bridget Pollock is in. And who else? We've got the Gear View Mirror, Graham Reeves. And did I say Paul Trainer earlier on? If I didn't, I just did. Stratboy999 is there. And we've got, who else? Steve Muskie is in the house. Graham Campbell, Nick Pilson, and Pablo Hank is there as well. Oh, and there's more. Let's scroll down. There's Nancy Davis, Das Schaff. Sean is there, so's Danny Hancock, Mark Greening, and Johnny Love. And did you miss the blast furnaces, John? Yes, because we had a rather momentous event in Redcar this week, and I'll tell you all about that in a second. We've got William Forrest and Ben Allmark and OH and Dudley Squat. And who else we got? Steve Entwistle and Jay Aoyong, Deck Charlton, and I think that is pretty much it. Oh, nice to hear that, Malcolm. Malcolm saying that his wife has improved a lot. Well, it's got to be, a weight off your mind, mate. It has to be, really. I hope you'll give her all of our best wishes. Yes, the blast furnace reference. In 2015, hundreds of years of iron and steel making on the banks of the River Tees, which is the local river to me. It's basically within walking distance. It all came to an end in 2015 when, and I could get incredibly political here, but I won't. But let's just say it was an incredibly short-sighted decision to let that heritage and that history all come to an end in 2015. The fires at the blast furnace in Redcar went out for the very last time, and they've been dismantling the plant ever since. And 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning, they demolished it. And it's looking at Redcar without seeing the silhouette of that blast furnace on the skyline. It would be like if you lived in Blackpool, the skyline of Blackpool without the tower. Or, name any other local landmark that is just, part of the kind of backdrop of where you live. And it just feels so weird for it to not be there anymore. Ironically, 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning when they demolished it, it was apparently some massive explosion. I didn't hear a thing. And as I say, I can look out of, not anymore, I can't, but I used to be able to look out of my front door and see the blast furnace just there, but not anymore. Really sad. Now, I've been getting, another thing I've been getting is a lot of requests for a Wilko Johnson solo analysis for obvious reasons. Sadly, we said goodbye to Wilko in the past week. Which was, I was absolutely flabbergasted when I heard it, because, it's like we heard that he was terminally ill. When was it? About 10 years ago. And then he got better. And, so you kind of, it's like you've mentally prepared yourself for this once already. And then it just comes out of the blue. And it's like, it knocked the wind out of my sails. I don't mind admitting. I've been listening to my favorite Wilko album, which is that collaboration he did with Roger Daltrey, Going Back Home. He recorded that album when he thought originally, kind of when was it, about 10 years ago, when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He recorded that album when he thought he literally had weeks left to live, and the joy and the verve and the sheer life force in his playing on that album is an absolute joy to behold. And I've just been listening to that and getting a little bit emotional with it ever since. So there is going to be a Wilko Johnson tribute of some description coming up. Unfortunately, it won't be it won't be this side of Christmas, because I do these videos kind of weeks in advance, and they're all uploaded, and they're all, kind of there, just scheduled to go live on the due date. So it's I suppose it gives me time to do a proper tribute to Wilko. I think that's the way I'm going to do it, a proper, not just a usual 10-minute solo analysis. I might put a little bit more into it than that. We shall see. We'll see what time I've got and how it pans out, really. But I definitely want to mark his passing in some way that's going to be a bit special. So that is something that's going to be coming up. There's something else I want to talk about, a topic that I'm going to raise with you, my wonderful audience, in a little while. But first of all, round about this time of the evening, I always tell you what's coming up on the channel in the next few days, basically between now and the next time we all sit down together for a beer. On Sunday, there is, as promised in yesterday's video, the full band kind of mix, kind of demo of that new Ex-Horseman pedal. And it's strange how things pan out, because just reading the comments below that video, the one from yesterday where I was kind of giving a first impressions review of it, someone in the comments compared my playing to someone called Ollie Halsall or Halsall. I don't know. I've never heard of this guy before, so I've been kind of Googling him, and dear me, it's another one of these excuse my ignorance moments. He was, because apparently he's no longer with us, a long time ago, he was an absolutely phenomenal player. I'm going to have to go and check some of his stuff out, and to be compared to him is... well, it's humbling, really. So I can't remember who it was who made that comment, but thank you so much. And if, like me, you'd never heard of Ollie Halsall, then go and check him out. Yeah, you'll be impressed. So that's Sunday's video, the Horseman pedal demo. Then on Monday, I've been trying to think of I like to usually give some sort of cryptic clue as to what Monday's video is going to be all about, but I can't be bothered. My head is absolutely frazzled today. I've been tabbing out a bit of an epic of a Christmas tune, which will be coming up just before Christmas, and it's got about well, many different guitar parts, kind of harmonies weaving in and out of each other. Anyway, suffice to say, my head is a bit battered, so I'm not going to even try and think of a cryptic clue. It's the solo from the Black Crowes version of Hard to Handle. Always loved that first Black Crowes album. Many people with the Black Crowes seem to say that, they got better as they went along, but each subsequent album, I lost just a little bit more interest in them, to be honest with you. But that first album, Shake Your Money Maker, I think is an absolute masterpiece from beginning to end, I've got to tell you. Then on Tuesday, we are going to be discussing, because it's a top five, or you could probably think of this more as a bottom five, because we're going to be talking about 5 of the worst guitars that history has to offer. We're talking here budget guitars of yesteryear, the kind of things that gentlemen of a certain vintage like myself had to cut our teeth on back in the 70s and into the 80s. The awful, nasty plywood. Well, there's I often the Woolworths Top 20, which was my first electric guitar. I often describe it as a collection of sharp edges held together by a guitar-shaped lump of plywood. So it's guitars of that caliber. A little bit of a trip down memory lane, basically, for kind of perhaps with a little bit of rose-tinted spectacles involved. But I'm not sugarcoating it. These were some of the most awful guitars you could ever play. Then on Wednesday, a viewer's question once again about the caged system. It's something that I don't usually teach, the caged system, as a topic. I tend to take it from another angle, but I do explain what the cage system is all about in Wednesday's video, and I've done videos on this in the past, but I'm like those guitar magazines that we all used to read. I don't think anybody still does, but if you read them for long enough, they keep coming back around to the same topics again, and I'm finding the channel is tending to do that a little bit, revisiting the same topic. It's a bit like the spiral staircase. You come back to the same point, but hopefully a higher and better version of it every so often. So that is taking us to Thursday, and Thursday's video, well, this is where I mentioned Mr. Brian Brazil in the chat there a few weeks ago. He very, very generously donated this guitar. This is an early 70s Les Paul copy made of the finest plywood that money couldn't buy. It's a fair representation of what a budget guitar was like in the early 70s, and basically did a little bit of research into it, and what sort of money it would have cost you back then, and what the equivalent price would be in today's money, and all that kind of stuff. And this is going to be a little bit of an ongoing project where I'm trying to get the best guitar out of it that's in there, trying to make it as good a guitar as it possibly can be. And we're done a couple of mods, and they're going to be the topic of upcoming videos. But on Thursday, it's going to be just the initial look at it and see what it's actually like, as it is, or as it was when I got it. So there you go. That's what's coming up on the channel this week. Excuse me while I have a drink. This evening, by the way, this evening's stream of verbal diarrhea is brought to you courtesy of Holston Pills, because I've been shopping in Morrison's this week. That is rapidly becoming my favourite tipple. It's so smooth. Anyway, let's have a little bit of a look at what you've been talking about in the chat while I've been chatting. I see we've got Derek Clacton in. And I see we've got Podrick Floyd in. How are you, mate? Let's see, put that up on screen because it's easy to read. As my favourite live act since a kid, Wilco will be greatly missed. If I might suggest a less mainstream Wilco track, how about Dr. Dupree, a wonderfully atmosphere song? Okay, well, I shall have to check that one out. Johnny Budget Guitar did an excellent Wilco tribute song. We'll have to catch up with some of Johnny's videos because I've been busy all week. Anton saying, where is your beer, mate? My beer, well, one of them's just finished. The other one, I'll be pouring it in a second, is right here. Let's have a look. I saw your last solo. Didn't know you were a bit of a shredder on the side. Well, I don't consider myself a shredding guitarist. I know one fast lick, basically, and I've managed to kind of milk all of the different variations off that lick quite successfully for quite some time. But, I wouldn't put myself up against, someone like, who would you pick? Off the internet, someone like Pete Thorne or something like that. Now there's a bloke who can shred. Let's have a look. Christo is saying, I used to live on Canvey Island, you Wilco on the Feel Goods legend. Excellent. Well, that's your little claim to fame, mate. Wilco was great on University Challenge. I didn't see that. Was that some sort of celebrity edition? Let's have a look. Is Jerry Donahue still with us? Good shout, mate. I don't know. I know he was quite ill. Didn't he have a stroke or something which left him unable to play? Colin's saying there's a bit of a delay between the blast furnace coming down and hearing the explosions. I was stood on my balcony and using a big lens to get a shot of it. Yeah, I never heard a thing. I got to tell you, it was just like I knew it was happening and I was listening for it. But even knowing that it was happening and listening for it, it's just I never heard a thing. So yes, lots in the chat there. Lots in the chat there about that. Les Paul copy from the early 70s, that Yamato, and understandably lots of chat about Wilco. As I say, I think he deserves a little bit more than just a standard solo analysis. So let me write this down, because if I don't, the beer will kind of cloud my memory. It sometimes does. So let me write that down. Wilco tribute video. I'm going to start making some plans for that over the weekend. Farjon is saying, I was there when they blew up the cooling towers at Ferry Bridge and never heard anything. Yeah, and part of the whole steel plant up here as well that they demolished and blew up a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. Apparently it was, the biggest demolition explosion thing that had been in British history or some. So it was some kind of record for that kind of thing. And it was, pretty much, maybe a mile away from me. And I never heard anything. So who knows? I guess the wind's got to be blowing in the right direction. I think Wilco had an English degree before Dr. Feelgood made it big. I didn't know that. Oh, I see we've got Mike in. CGS, how are you, mate? Hopefully, well, as you're saying, feeling a bit better. Nice to hear that, mate. And, it's just hoping that you're keeping well, and that it's good that I've been checking out some of your videos. For some reason, the YouTube algorithm, that's the word I'm looking for, keeps throwing up videos of yours. And I'm thinking, has Mike got a new video? 1 year ago. But I don't care. I'll watch it again because I do enjoy your content, mate. And that's what I was going to talk about. Yes, I meant to mention this last week. I've been getting all kinds of emails from different companies, all wanting to be a sponsor for this channel. And I've turned them down, each and every one of them, not because of in principle, but because I don't play computer games, and all of these companies are all kind of like computer games, but video game based companies or whatever. Is there a difference between a computer game and a video game? I don't know. That's how out of touch with that whole scene I am. I played Space Invaders once in about 1980 and thought, well, this is just a waste of bloody time, so I'm not bothering with that. Apparently, they've changed somewhat in the intervening years, but I don't know because I've never played one. Never owned a games console in my life, not even one of the old Atari ones or anything like that. Never been something I'm interested in, but I am getting a lot of emails from companies that are wanting to sponsor my videos. And as I say, I'm not going to get a sponsor on board who is kind of selling a product that I have absolutely no interest in or knowledge of. But I just want to put it to you out there. How would you feel about, like many YouTube channels, me saying, and today's video is brought to you by Amalgamated Durables PLC, fine purveyors of, whatever. Is that something that you would object to me doing? Is that something you would mind if I did? Because to be honest with you, it's not something I've thought about doing. I don't want to kind of give too much away, but I don't do too badly on the old financial front. All the bills are paid at the end of every month, and there's often a nice little bit of luxury money left over. Luxury is like a takeaway. I don't mean luxury as in Rolls Royce or Rolex or anything like that. But we're doing okay. But there's always scope for a little bit more, I suppose. So how would you feel about me getting some sponsors on board? Because if companies are contacting me, then I don't see why I shouldn't contact other companies and say, I've got this YouTube channel with 26,000 subscribers. I've got an audience. Do you want me to, basically having that dialogue? Okay. So plenty of people. Yeah. Okay. Deal. And so yeah, it's there seems to be a fairly, shall we say, positive or even tolerant, kind of feedback to that. So from the sound of it, Holston would be a good choice of sponsor indeed. Yeah. Skillshare. No, there's one. Yes, because it's. I want something that's kind of sort of tuition or music related. If I was going to do this, it's something I'm going to kind of put on the back burner now until after Christmas, because I don't want to be kind of just in the middle of trying to sort out all of that kind of stuff when the whole kind of tinsel infested madness descends upon us. Don't get me wrong, I do love Christmas. I just used to prefer it when it was in December. But yeah, okay, so the general kind of feedback there is that no one is objecting to it or saying, no, don't sell out to the corporate man. So, I think you know me well enough by now that I'm not going to, although I have been accused of being a Harley Benton shill in the past, but I think you know me well enough by now that I'm not going to, sell me soul for 30 pieces of silver. What you're saying there, Curry Bum Jenkins? Any juicy Black Friday deals going? Anderton's got a chunk of bare knuckles, I've just seen. Okay, well, fair enough. Well, I am in the market for some pickups for said kind of 70s Les Paul copy there. Although I think I think putting bare knuckles into that guitar might be a stretch too far. I think it'll be getting a set of Vansons. And that'll be about it, really. How about Udemy? That's a good point, actually. Gorilla amps, discuss. Have I ever played through a Gorilla amp? I can't think that I have, actually. So, Victoria's Secret. Yeah. Now, picture me kind of modelling that stuff. There's an image that'll buy you 6 months in therapy. Let's what you're saying there, Time Prophet. Have you tried Rocksmith? It's a game where you learn to play songs on the guitar. I haven't tried it because it's a game, and I don't do games, to be honest with you. You know, as I say, I tried Space Invaders, or was it Asteroids, or something like that. And what was the one I think I tried? You know, where there's the two paddles kind of going up either side of the screen, and you're gonna like tennis. That sort of era was the first and only time I played any kind of video game, and I didn't see the point, really. You're just moving pixels around a screen, and it didn't really kind of interest me or excite. I thought I could be reading a book, I could be listening to music, I could be doing something interesting. Okay, Tom Quayle has released an app called Solo. It teaches intervals, etc. Give him a shout. Might just do that. Let's have a look. Games have changed a tad since Pong. Okay, there's an interesting thing. Fender Blues Junior versus Vox 15. Anyone? Well, tricky one. That's like saying which is better, raspberry jam or marmalade. You know, they're both equally good. It just depends what you want. They're different things, I would say. You know, sort of a Fender amp sound, you know, and a Vox amp sound. If you want that Vox Class A sound, then you're going to struggle to get it out of anything other than a Class A amplifier. And, you know, if you think in Class A amplifiers, well, it's got to be Vox, hasn't it, really? Vox is definitely the marmalade in this analogy. Well, it depends whether you like marmalade or not. That's a bit of a bone of contention in our house, I must admit, because my missus likes the stuff that isn't. I don't class it properly as marmalade, where it doesn't even have any bits in it. It's just like the kind of jelly kind of stuff. And whereas I like the big kind of stuff with big lumps of lemon or orange peel in it, you know, kind of just to bite into and chew on your toast on a morning. And so that's you know, we have to have two different jars, a his and hers marmalade in our house. How about Harley Benton Tube 15? Yeah, I kept meaning to get one of those Harley Benton either Tube 5 or Tube 15s at some point, but it's like, I think part of it is I love the sound of that Marshall. I really do. And I'm just absolutely loving playing through it all the time. And it's like, I'm scared to get something that I might like better than the Marshall. Does that make sense? It's like, yeah, but what happens if I like that guitar more than that amp more than the Marshall? Because to me, Marshall is like, you know, what's the word? Perfection. Who was it? Was it Jeremy Clarkson was saying on an episode of Top Gear that is it Alfa Romeo, by the way, or Alfa Romeo? Because you don't say Romeo and Juliet, do you? But somehow you've got to say Alfa Romeo when it comes to cars. But he was saying that Alfas, you know, it's worth all of the kind of pain and headaches and unreliability because they are just sublime cars to drive. I don't know because I don't drive. But I often feel that way about Marshalls, you know, that they are glitchy and unreliable and they'll let you down when you least need them to. But the tone makes it all worth it. That said, that little DSL-1 has never let me down. It seems pretty bulletproof so far. It's gone wrong. Well, it hasn't gone wrong at all. And in the amount of time I've had it, which is I got it in the summer, I think back in June or July. In the same time period, every other Marshall amp that I've had been repaired or revalved, or it had something go wrong with it at least once. But that little DSL one, I'm absolutely loving it. Time Prophet is saying, how did you get to a gig without driving? I was always in bands where there was a van driven by a roadie that would just, and the van would be kept in a lockup somewhere with a lighting rig and the PA and all of that sort of stuff just left in the van permanently in a secure lockup. And then the evening of a gig, the roadie, the van would turn up and pick you up and drive you to the gig, and then you get driven home again afterwards. That's just the way that it kind of worked up here. You didn't have to make your own way to the gig yourself. It was all and like the fuel for the van and the MOT and the tax and the insurance and everything just used to come out of the band's bank account. Somebody's asking me that. Ian is asking me, hi, John, any comments on the Line 6 DT25 amp? I've never... The only Line 6 thing I've ever had a remotely good experience with was, was it last year sometime? A chap called Pete, who very kindly built me a guitar. That one you can see up there, that kind of offset thing there, which I don't play often enough. We'll have to get out and do some videos with it. But he loaned me his Line 6 Variax guitar, and I was quite impressed with many, but not all, of the sounds of that guitar. But that said, every other Line 6 product I've ever tried has always been either a huge disappointment. What's that? Okay, yeah, Udemy are just telling me they've got a Black Friday sale on. Every other Line 6 product I've ever used has always been a huge disappointment, or was just, not fit for purpose in some way. Going all the way back to the Line 6 pod, the original kind of red kidney bean shaped thing. And, back then, people, you were reading interviews. I remember reading an interview with Todd Rundgren, who was saying, yeah, it's great. I use it in the studio all the time. I carry all of my kind of presets around with me on a USB stick and on a thumb drive, as our American cousins call it. And I just turn up to a gig and it's on the rider that they have to supply me with a pod. And I'm thinking, like, top level pros are using this thing. And I just can't get a sound out of it that I'm happy with, and that's been my experience with everything that has the words Line 6 written on it. So I can't make any comment on that amplifier, but I don't like Line 6 gear. There you go. We're all allowed to like and dislike things, and Line 6 is very definitely on my kind of Line 6 on my dislike list. Hello, Craig. What are you saying? Oh, yes. Thank you, Craig. Yes, I've been, I meant to get in touch with you this week, mate, but the week sort of got away from me. Thank you so much. Craig is very generously lending me his, the Blue guitar amp, the Thomas Blue pedal amp, that I'm going to do something of a rundown of, and that will be probably going up early January, I would think. That's going to be probably in the first week of January. Oh, Martin Scholes is saying the DT series are all tube and sound huge. Well, fair enough, yeah, and Currybum Jenkins, Helix Native wasn't for me, nor me either. And I had, what was it was just called the Helix, wasn't it? The kind of amp modeling kind of floor pedal sort of thing. I had a student who had one of those. And again, it was just not for him. He ended up selling it and getting Sonic 8 rock stage, and was just thinking, this is more me, just kind of simple, easy to use, great sounds, and you don't have to worry about it. So there you go. Anyway, let's have a look. See what we've all been talking about. Dave Lewis is saying, I've got the Marshall head of your combo and love it also. Have the white Harley Benton combo. Both are pretty terrific. Fair enough. So, yes, that might be something, yeah. Now I've got this whole kind of thing about miking up sorted out. Because I'll be honest with you, that was a main kind of thing that was putting me off. Using a real amp as opposed to amp sims, because it's you read or you watch videos or you kind of listen to recording engineers and they talk about, oh well, it's the position of the mic is critical, and if it's like that, it's fine, but if it's like that, it's going to sound awful, and and you have to have two mics and like that, and it's like, I thought, this is a headache I can do without, but I just chucked that little Behringer B906, a 30 quid microphone, just off center of the speaker cone, and what you hear on the demos and stuff that I do is the tone I hear in this room. So it's like, that wasn't worth worrying about then, was it? I don't know, maybe my ears can't hear as much detail as somebody whose kind of profession is to go and to kind of record things professionally, I guess. But all I know is that just bunging the mic in front of the amp, roughly off center, it seems to work. So now I'm over that whole kind of miking up phobia. Then it's definitely something I think I should really do, is a few more amp reviews, because guitar. I know people like to watch videos of guitar reviews because they're the ones that always do well for me, but a few amp reviews, and it'd be nice to get a collection of amplifiers as well. I shall have to convince the wife of that, obviously, but we shall see. Intervals, says Jason Carter. Please do a course on intervals. It's not what you learn, who's who you learn it from. Well, here's the thing, intervals. Intervals are just distances between notes. That's all. And it's like, learning to recognize them. That's obviously a. Let me write that down, actually. Intervals. Video. As I say, just distances between notes. And once you learn to recognize them, once you can hear what an octave or a fifth or a third or a fourth or a minor third or a flattened sixth sounds like, then you can recognize them when you hear them in music that you're trying to learn or trying to remember or trying to figure out or whatever. I don't think that there's a massive amount to know about them, to be honest with you, because there's only 12 possible intervals. There's only 12 notes in a chromatic scale, and each one of those intervals has the distance between one note and one of the other 12 it's a sound that you can learn to recognize and use. So I think a lot of it is to do with the jargon that that gets bandied around about it, because it can be often confusing when you're confronted with all of this, what looks like algebra, sharp 4, flat 5, sharp 6, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's a video, and that will probably come out in one of the Wednesday viewers question videos. DJW, looking forward to your Captain Meets interview. Yeah, a few people have said that. I'm not holding my breath, I'll be honest with you. it's. I mean, I've when I was shopping for a Player Series Strat last year, and I did a video on it, and I just noticed, probably for the first time actually, how expensive Andertons were, and I might have made a comment about they, might be taking the piss a little bit with their prices. I thought, well, there's my invitation for a sit down with the captain up the Swanee River. That's not going to happen. But it's doubtful whether I'd be able to do it anyway, even if I was asked, because as I said, I don't drive, so it's a return train fare from Redcar to Guildford and back. I'm going to have to cancel probably an entire day's lessons to go and do it, which is a big financial hit for me to do that on top of the rail fare, and all of this to make a video for someone else's channel. You do kind of, when you think of it in those terms, it's like, well, yeah. So I'm not holding my breath. I'm just. I mean, you look at the people that Andertons interview. It's they've had Carlos Santana on, for God's sake, and John Petrucci and Steve Vai and Pete Thorne, and and then me. I don't think so. Really. Surely they always send a limo, says Johnny Love. Yeah. Thing is, you drive a limo into Redcar. If it parks up for 5 minutes, there'll be no bloody wheels left on it. It'll be up on bricks. Vincent Brennan. Anyone watched V is for Failure? Harley Bent and Active V thought that Glenn's head was going to explode. Very entertaining. Yes, I did see that one, actually. And I don't know if you saw the viewers' comments video today. He let slip that he's had a couple of goes at anger management classes. I thought, really? It's not like, I would never have thought that of you, Glenn, but, being sarcastic there. I do like Glenn's channel. I think he's, massively, massively entertaining. Has anyone ever noticed, I don't know if you watch the viewers' comments on a Friday, but whenever it gets to the butt hurt of the week, the YouTube ads always kick in. It's like they know. Wherever he puts it in the video, always an ad that interrupts it. Now, I hear somebody's shouting me there. So, what was that? Can I scroll up and get it? Dave Lewis is saying, that little Black Star tube head I bought a few weeks back is outstanding. There's a combo version. I used mine through Harley Benton 2B12 vintage Celestian 30 cabinets. Yes, now I did see a video that Brad the Guitologist did about Black Star, and he says the problem is, as an amp tech, you cannot get schematics for them. If anything goes wrong, Marshall, Fender, Vox, any other brand of amp, you can find a schematic somewhere, but Black Star, you just can't. If anything goes wrong with them, basically it's toast. You're not going to be able to get it repaired. Let's have a look. Mike's saying he's a lovely guy. I think you mean Glenn there, Glenn Fricker. Yeah, he's the sort of bloke you'd go for a beer with, isn't he? I often wonder if him and my mate Steve Hoggett were separated at birth, because they are cut from the same cloth, I think. Even though I think Steve would take issue with that, but Steve, he's not here, so maybe he's watching. maybe he's lurking. Maybe he'll chip in with a comment. But yeah, speaking of Steve Hoggett, I haven't had him on the channel for a while. I'm going to have to rattle his cage and see if he wants to do another collaboration or something. Let's see. I've got new comments. Let's have a look. Michael Bellevaux is saying, have you ever auditioned for a super type group, John? Like, do you mean like a big name artist? No, is the short answer. I'm just a fat, bald, hairy ass pleb from the northeast of England. I'm not exactly plugged into the big time music scene. You know, I just I played on the working men's club and social club circuit up here for many years, doing pub gigs. You know, the deal was up here that you'd have your kind of fun band where you'd go and play kind of you know, blues clubs and stuff like that, where you'd make absolutely no money, probably cost you money every gig you went to, but it was fun. And then, you know, you would go and have your kind of your day job gig where you'd be playing, you know, I don't know, Barry Manilow melody medleys and stuff like that, all kind of matching suits and, you know, kind of playing lounge gigs at sort of living room volume and that sort of weddings and bar mitzvahs and all that sort of stuff as well. But even that the income from that was good when it was there, but it was sporadic, and you could find yourself, because what the way it used to work was you'd work for an agent, and then they would put you through all of their venues that they had on their books, and that would take maybe about 3 months. You'd be out every night, or about 3 or 4 nights a week, maybe for about 3 months, and then just boom, nothing. And then what they'd be doing is farming you out to other agents and kind of swapping you and trading you like a football card with other agents. And you know, you go from playing kind of nice, kind of easy to get to local gigs to suddenly, you know, you're kind of 100 miles in one direction one night and then 100 miles in the other direction the other night, and then nothing again for a few weeks. And it's just, and then, you know, you get back onto the local kind of circuit again. So it was too sporadic. So that's why I kind of gradually, you know, it was like I had the tuition and the gigging as two separate revenue streams, and essentially the tuition just kind of kept nosing in front, and that was what was paying the rent back then, and the mortgage as it is now. So no, I've never really had any big auditions, and to be honest with you, I'm too long in the tooth for that now. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy, you know, taking the dog for a long walk on the beach or the sand dunes every morning. I enjoy eating dinner with the missus every night, and you know, and I don't want to be living out of a suitcase and, you know, all that kind of nonsense anymore. I'm coming up 56-year-old. I'm too old for that. Where are we? Let's see what we've been talking about. And the commitments. Yes, indeed. That was exactly the kind of gig. I haven't watched that movie in absolutely ages. I'm gonna have to see if I can stream that over the weekend. Or that might be one of the films I watch over Christmas. Yeah, we shall see. Michael Purcell, was there any Brian Potters in the working class? Oh, many. That for our international viewers, Brian Potter is a character in a sitcom called Phoenix Nights, about the Phoenix Club, a fictional club in the north of England, fictional kind of social club in the north of England. And Brian Potter was the entertainment secretary there, the guy who used to book the acts. And just, I won't go into a long-winded description of it, but just if you're not familiar with Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights, go and watch it. That is a really accurate representation of the kind of venues that I spent many a year playing in. So, yes, there were plenty of Brian Potters. Let's have a look. As the T-shirt says, I play guitar because I like it, not because I'm good at it. I shall have to have that T-shirt. Michael Broadhead, I once played a gig with my 10-watt solid-state practice amp mic'd up, and some bloke said it sounded like a Marshall 50 tube. So all part of the general mix, I suppose. Yep. I'm a spring chicken at 56, am I? Fair enough. Where are we? Thank you for soliciting the likes, everyone. I don't usually like to say that, but thank you if you're liking what you're seeing. Kind of hit the like button. Is Chris Rea still with us? As far as I know, aye, he's. I haven't heard any of his output for a while, but I was listening to him the other morning. Actually, my morning routine is, as you know, I sit and drink a bucket of coffee whilst listening to an album on a morning. And the album in question the other morning was that kind of best of that he did, where he re-recorded all of his old hits and kind of just did a fresh take on them. New Light Through Old Windows. I was listening to that. I think that was not the first CD I ever bought, but it was probably among the first batch of CDs that I ever bought back in the I think the late 80s, 1989. I got my first CD player, and how times change. I don't own anything to play a CD on nowadays. I could probably play one on the computer, but I don't listen to physical music anymore. It's streaming all the way for me. David Evans, I'll have to get in touch soon to do the seed interview, mate. Yes, indeed, do that. We can work out a convenient time for both of us. David is in a band with his brother called Seed, and go and check them out on Spotify. You'll be impressed. I was. Anyway, a Chris Rea solo again when you have some time now. Yes. Have you heard Walking Down the Stony Road? I have indeed, but let me just write that down. Chris Rea solo, because I've only done one. I did the solo from Road to Hell, and it was in the weirdest open tuning. It was in like some kind of E major, E minor tune. I'd have to check it out, but I remember thinking, this is a tuning I have never, ever seen before on any solo. Ian Clark is saying, is Dougal now a boy soprano? Not yet, but he's on the waiting list, Ian. Yes, Dougal is going to be losing a couple of ounces from between his back legs, probably in January at some point. He's calming down a little bit, but we just want to accelerate the calming down. And he's and it's just we've always had our male dogs done like that, because apparently it's well for many reasons that the vet recommended, other than it makes money for the vets, which I suppose is one of the reasons they recommend it. Yeah, Michael Purcell is saying, only problem with streaming is not getting an information. I used to know producers or engineers from the liner notes. Well, there's this wonderful thing called the internet. I'll often, Wikipedia is now where I read liner notes and sleeve notes. That's kind of my source of information now, and just sit and kind of scroll through it on my phone as I'm listening. You can find Chris Ree's How I Tune My Guitar video on YouTube. E major, apparently. Yeah, it's not an open E tuning, though, on Road to Hell. It's... just give me a second and I'll tell you what the tuning is, because I've got the tab here. I just need to go and find it. So, Road to Hell, Road to Hell, Road to Hell. It'll either be under T for The Road to Hell or R for Road to Hell. So it's going to be under T for The Road to Hell. Let me have a look. The Road to Hell solo. Right, okay. The tuning on the Road to Hell solo is from low to high. It is E, B, D, G sharp, B, D. So I guess it's an E7 tuning. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? E, B, D, G sharp, B, D. Yeah, he's tuned to an open E7 chord. I don't know where I got the idea that the G note was in there as well. So, yeah, I've never seen that E7 tuning before, I'll be honest with you. Let's have a look. What we've been talking about. Is it Kyle Moran? I almost called you Kyle Moron there. I do apologise, mate. Kyle Moran. Hello, Red Car from Lutz in Florida. Cheers. Well, nice to have you on board, mate. I hope you've got a beer because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Cylon Hybrid is saying, how's Dougal and the other half? Dougal is... well, he's fine at the moment. He's downstairs. I haven't heard any barking, and I haven't heard the missus shouting at him, so I'm presuming he's asleep. He's got two settings. Absolute Tasmanian devil or sloth, and there's nothing in between. So I'm assuming it's the sloth setting at the moment. And the missus is doing well. This evening's kebab is courtesy of her because she's been out selling the jewellery that she makes on the local Christmas market the last couple of days, and she's absolutely rolling in it. She's had a couple of really good days selling the jewellery she makes. You can find her on Facebook, by the way, if you are into such things. Go and check out the Doghouse Design on Facebook, and you'll see the kind of stuff that she posts. She used to have an Etsy shop, but it wasn't working for her. She found she was selling more stuff on Facetube than she was on Etsy, so she canned the Etsy shop. But she's absolutely fine. She's sat down there, probably watching some rubbish on the TV. Something on some streaming service whilst sitting there in her pajamas and awaiting the arrival of the traditional Friday evening kebab. Where are we? Trying to Yngve Malmsteen Strat a couple of times. Really takes some getting used to. Would love to own one though. Yeah, I tried a guitar with a scalloped fretboard once, and it just felt so different and alien that I thought, yeah, this isn't for me. For me, the idea of a guitar that feels right is a guitar that I don't have to adjust to. I honestly thought, speaking of that I would have to adjust to this, but this is just absolutely effortless to play, and you just don't notice the fact that it is, let's face it, a bit weird looking. Oops, excuse me, wrecking the place. So yes, indeed, somebody shouting last orders there, John, gents. Rubbish on the TV, World Cup perhaps. I'll tell you what, mate, if they were playing out there, I'd shut the curtains. I was born without the football gene, I'm afraid. It's just, haven't seen Blondie yet. I must be slipping, yes, indeed. There we go. Dan, you haven't been on the stream in a few weeks, but you make lovely guitars, mate. Thank you so much. Where are we? I just played a Les Paul that had a custom scallop board. I wanted to punch the owner afterwards. Fair enough, mate. Right, anyway, chaps, it's coming towards the end of the stream now, and I've got that much beer left here, and that simply is not enough to keep on going much longer. Balder is saying, kebab, cow or chicken? I get the mixed kebab, mate. It's got both. So on that note, I'm going to love you and leave it. I'm going to swig this beer off, and before I do, I'll just say thank you once again, everyone, for turning up and watching a fat, bald northern gobshite talk absolute bollocks for an hour. It's been a blast, as it always is, and I'll see you all again next time. I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me, but for now, time, gentlemen, please.